welcome to this week's Love on Laser Tag podcast brought to you by Love on Laser Tag. This week, we are going to be discussing some things about the East Coast tournament in Detroit that we are sending a team off to in a few days.
Yeet.
We're going to discuss some of the plays from tonight, and our topic for tonight is what class should you play? We want to talk about the classes and what kind of people make the best kinds of those classes. For example, some of our more aggressive players do really poorly on medic just because of their personality, not because they're bad players. I looked at the card.
The car is not
I don't want to. John's an alright.
I was like, excuse you? John is a baller medic.
Let's say Caleb on medic. You find him in the offense all the time.
You think he's a scout?
I'm playing battle medic.
Kind of like a class personality test, if you will.
Ooh.
It's bad for you. Stop that. You're gonna die.
No.
You're gonna
Cancer
die.
stick.
Exactly.
We go around doing the
Die.
names
I already
yet?
had cancer.
That's why I delete the section.
No.
My name.
James.
I'm gonna turn down the recording level. My name is Mischief. Who else do we have here?
Dr. Feelgood.
Sergeant Tucker.
Destroyer.
Memosaurus.
Dr. Juckenstein. Yes, it's a write-off.
The Fear Turkey.
Hot tamales. Shut up.
Stop. Okay. Stand over there,
Speaking of Phantom No Vowels, he's out.
Did you hear me?
please.
Don't smoke, kids. It's bad for your giblets.
I'm just gonna exclude you. All right. So
We can get everyone.
let's get some. Introduce yourself.
Mace.
Yeah, Sason.
Peter.
That's everyone.
Okay, that's everyone.
We have lots of peeps. Anyway,
If you are quiet, you like medic. If you are semi-quiet, you like ammo.
not there yet. I want to talk about some of the fun parts from tonight. So shout out some of your favorite moments.
I
Winning.
liked AJ and Troy's resupply game with my heavy.
good.
That was pretty gnarly for you guys.
You know it.
The Fear Turkey Mischief Heavy Commander combo is a real go-to. It's a real nasty play.
I always prepare for one nuke, then there's 4.
Basically, the Mischief Fear Turkey combo is just like we get a pack, and then we put all of us in it, and then we give it to Josiah, and then we give Luke a satchel,
And he gets the other scout.
and he gets
Yeah, he gets me. He gets me.
he gets
Just
the
carries
resupplies
on their back.
No, he just gives me.
and just
But-
carries us.
But Josiah's
Good
also
gold.
pulling a wagon that I'm in, so I'm still carrying somebody from the wagon Josiah's carrying.
With the backpack still
the
on, so
backpack
it's
on.
like it's a full cardio workout. Honestly, you
Yeah,
should
I
try
know.
it sometime.
And then you lose your resupplies and you die.
Luke has me in his satchel, just like, I'm ready.
I think
Man.
that's why the Fear Turkey Josiah had a 50-pound vest on the other night. Last week, I think he was just practicing.
Practicing for carrying our team.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like you
He's
should
just-
describe it as Home Alone.
Straight up boosted.
I really liked the game where it wasn't really one of our legitimate games, but I was medic. Dylan was an ammo, and then Seth was another ammo, and it was really, really good because I figured out that the second after whoever was getting resupplied got resupplied by one of the ammos, and I saw them go down, that 1 second I could tell that they got resupplied, so I could double them even if I didn't see my ammo. So it was a really good coordination combo there. That was really gnarly, actually. That was
Triples everywhere.
that was an elimination
What game
game.
was
I'm
that?
pretty sure there was
the game
yeah.
where we had like 9-on-9.
Oh, I was gonna say that
Yeah.
game too. That was so fun.
Yeah,
It
that
just-
was
it was
such-
Space Marines War.
That was so much fun. I had so much fun doing that
Josiah,
triple resub. That was great.
Throwback to the 21-on-21 New Year's lock-in.
Did you play 21 on 21 Space
Yeah,
Marines?
random, and we got 2 medics on each team.
So it was the biggest. It was the biggest
many
game we've ever
commanders?
played in. But not only that, what ended up it created this awful situation where nobody knew what was going on, and we only had one heavy and one commander on each team.
Oh gosh.
So the heavy and the commander were constantly out of shots, and there was like almost 20 scouts on each. Like it was
Gotta go fast.
It
Wait,
was-
so there was one medic and 20 scouts on each
There were
team?
2 medics, like 5
ammos.
ammos, and then the rest were just scouts.
God.
And it was just like an ocean, like a tidal wave of scouts. Just
And people yelling for resupplies. 29-7.
Reset.
That is hell for a heavy.
That sounds insane.
It was amazing.
That was.
please help! I'm at 1. Friendly fire.
Josiah,
think
friendly
the-
fire is the most triggering thing ever.
That was the
Oh,
highlight of my
week's
last
bad
night.
Podcast.
I think
I
the
wonder-
It's
best
only
one
triggering when
is.
it's not on a reset.
I think the best one is
When you're going in.
probably Fear Turkey and
Mischief.
Fear Turkey and Mischief just heavy in Commando. Mischief is heavy and Fear Turkey.
I bet you like being in Josiah's backpack.
Yeah, I know. No.
he's kinda in the
Basically,
side
it's
pocket,
basically
you know,
that
where you
same.
hold the
It's
water bottle.
basically the medic ammo, a heavy on and Josiah's back, while Mischief is carrying me in the satchel. I'm just like, I'm ready to go in. Put me in.
We should call
Put me in, coach.
Mason, I
Put
want
me
to
in,
call
coach.
you
I'm
out.
ready.
You had such a good game playing medic, and you were so not okay with it.
Wait,
But
you played medic?
yeah,
Yeah.
we put Mason
What
and
game?
Dylan on medic on resupplies together, and
Not me, by the way.
you killed it.
Robin. Yeah.
Yeah, first round robin, and I
Red
let Mason
Robin,
be
Red
scout the
Robin.
rest of the night. But my golly, he did a very good job. You were good at hiding, and you were good at getting your doubles, and you and Dylan got all 3 right off the bat. I'm gonna put you back on medic just for that.
No.
You shouldn't have done so good.
He's gonna do
Rich.
so good.
Before the game, the only thing I could say is we're gonna die.
We did
Alright.
not die.
So,
Heroes never die.
real quick. We usually play tournament standard games like every game, so Phil's not on and Gray Base is on, but we did do a single 3-team game,
That was
and
fun.
in this 3-team game, Phil is on and so is Gray Base. So I think Phil was super annoying because I got tagged multiple
Somebody
times.
in the crossfire, a heavy tagged Mr. Phil.
It
and
was-
that was the most obnoxious.
It was
thing.
You were heavy,
super
right?
annoying. But I did like that
Yeah.
Gray Base was on because it was an extra 5 special points.
Yeah.
And so I was able to drop 3 nukes that game with a 3-team, which was nice.
Oh wow, you're
Yeah.
cool.
I
That
mean,
game was a cluster.
it was chaos, and I
Fear
kept getting
Turkey
juggled
got
by
5.
Dylan and
I didn't have
and
5
Morgan.
nukes.
No,
I only had
Morgan and you just juggled the crap out of me.
I was having
Like-
issues because I would be fighting Morgan and like Joe would be on the second floor. I'm on the red ramp, and then Morgan would run up on the red ramp with me, and I'd be like, yeet, and then Joe would pop up over the balcony thing and shoot me. And then you would run up, and then Ryan would be on the other end of the red base, and I'm like, what's going on?
Oh, I think the best moment is when
Dr. Field.
Dr. Feelgood.
when Dr. Fielder turned the corner and I crouched down right in front of his chest.
Oh
and
my
shot-
god. So I'm running around, one of the last people left
He's our ammo.
on my team. I think I was a heavy?
Yeah, you
Yes,
were,
I was
you
a
were- you were
heavy.
heavy.
Because
I was commander.
you and Seth were and him were hiding behind the blue base. I run, I tag Eric, who is their medic. I run through the alleyway. I see you two. I don't see him. I see you and Seth. I run around the other side, tag Seth, get the blue base, tag you. I got 2 shots put into me. And I was like, all right, yeet. And I go to reset Seth, and you two are screaming, he has 1 shot, he has 1 shot. I'm like, you're both down. What are you talking about? James flies, like, straight up just slides and glides
into your chest.
into me. And he's so tiny that I couldn't shoot him because he was too close to me. I was like,
I was
no, and the dream was just gone.
I was just like, I was right up to his chest. And I was just like, hi.
I couldn't have shot him if I did this and couldn't hit him. By the way, my phaser's like at my face. And I tried to like shoot him in the shoulder or something, but
And I was like, bam.
he got up at me, smiled, and then shot me, and I was like, the disrespect.
I don't think I smiled. I don't
No,
know.
you smiled. You were like, It was at this moment that Dylan knew
He messed up.
He just got shot. I was like, bruh.
It was
But
at
did
that
we win?
moment that the
That's
child
right.
took the candy from you and
That's
stole
it.
it.
Loyalty slogan.
That's a
But
Dr.
did we
Feel
win?
Good.
But Dylan, did we win?
No. We took third.
Wait, this was
We
during.
took-
I thought this. I thought this was during the
This
actual
was the
play-ins.
first game.
No, that was the
3-team.
very first game. Oh,
was
so
the
at the
13
beginning of that game, we took the third floor. Logan and Nick were like in the corner on the left side of the blue ramp. Anyway, I think I tagged Seth. And I reset Seth all the way down the blue ramp using Logan. And the entire time he's like, I'm on your team! Why are you shooting me?
literally-
Stop shooting me! And I'm just smiling while I'm doing it.
He has no clue
This
about
was so
it.
He like hooks up his phaser and he grabs Dylan by the shoulders and he's like, "Why are you shooting me? I'm on your team."
I explained it to him after the game, and he was like, "Oh, that makes more sense." But it was just so funny when it happened because he was just staring at me in disbelief, just like, "Who can say where the
Oh my
day's
God.
gone?"
That meme.
No.
Can we move on to a new topic?
No,
This is hilarious.
Okay.
Speaking of Dylan and resets, I was the medic, and this is something to keep in mind.
whoops.
Because when you're a medic, you do not use the medic for resets. Dylan reset me twice for a
But
scout.
did you die?
Probably.
Yes, twice.
But did we win?
But did we win?
I don't remember if we won or not. I just
think
remember
we did.
Dylan like coming in, resetting me. I'm like, I'm the medic. Shoot someone, resets me again. I'm the medic.
I didn't hear him the first time because I heard him say I'm the medic, and I was like,
Just
"Oh
to
crap, I'm
reiterate.
sorry." I'm
Dr.
sorry.
Junkenstein
In case
ain't
you
no more
forgot,
paramedic anymore.
I am the medic.
This-
Translation: Don't friendly fire me.
There was so there was one time that happened to me too. I think it was one of the first games, and Caleb was on my team, and I was in red base, and I like peeked out to resub him, and he was like on the red ramp, and he reset off of me, and I just peeked like my entire upper body just around the corner, and I'm just like,
Bruh.
really? And he was just like, oh, are you my medic? Yes, I am your medic.
Why do you think I would be
Oh, just that moment of like realization that I was his medic, just
That-
disappointment.
Drains out of his
Just
face.
That-
all
that
of his
game-
focus just goes out of his face, and he's just like, oh.
So the highlight of my night was absolutely in
Nobody
the last
cares.
game.
It's just
It
like
was so much fun.
Shut up, Fear Turkey.
Dylan.
So there were about four
like-
people. There were about 4 people in Funbox, and I was the only person attacking them. They pushed me off of them like twice. However, the one time I got in, everyone scattered except for their medic. Okay, and so I
Oh my
reset.
remember
god!
I turned and I missiled AJ, who was their medic.
No!
And as Hot Tamales yells, "Why'd you all leave me?" and runs, she lost like 6 lives on the trade, and then I double nuked, and I think I killed Seth, but
And me.
and Eric.
Yeah, you
A
killed
lot
my
of
heavy,
people.
and literally, it was the most triggering thing because I specifically said before the game, Seth, if you leave me, I will end you. And sure enough, at the very beginning of the game, in Funbox, everyone just scatters, and I am like, I'm not gonna go through the entire other team because I'm not going to lose all of those lives. So I went back into the fun box, realized you were on red ramp, and I was like, oh, and I didn't know that you were the 3-shot yet because I hadn't been in the game long enough to know that. And so I tried to like peek around the corner and shoot you, and you were just like, oh, hey, and I was like, no.
Bap.
So
AJ,
then
your
I
word is
knew,
your bond.
yeah, well, okay, so then I knew he was gonna come up and just, slaughter me because he knew I was there. So I was like, oh, I guess I have to leave now. And I couldn't find my team for like another at least 30 seconds, and I was losing it because
Someone had to.
Everyone just left me, and before the game I was specifically like, you, do not leave me. You, stay with me and make sure that you can resub with me. If you cannot resub, I am going to lose it. And so everyone just left me, and I was just like,
Bro.
All right.
Just
So-
because.
And,
So-
we were all up on second floor, and I was just like, okay. And,
From the
It was bad.
perspective
From
of
the
someone who didn't see this,
Yeah.
I'm on the 3rd floor with John. I think we just were like giving mischief here doubles. We were just
was a good
chilling.
time, yeah.
And anyway, I see Josiah run down the ramp, and about 3 seconds later, I hear AJ screaming from the 1st floor, just obscenities, just shouting bloody murder at her team. And I was like, my boy.
Oh, boy.
profanity.
Last one, then we're gonna move on.
So this is what I would call a clarification. While she was dying, the whole team got shots. Because they all followed me.
I do. There you go.
I was not going to follow you through the depths of hell. No.
You lost 4 lives in the process, man.
So actually, to go off of what Fear Turkey was saying, I was playing Scout that game for him, and so what I did was at the start of the game I kind of hid, and Feeder saw me and he looked to his other teammate. He was like, "Hey, he's in there," and I rounded the corner, and I think I just like. He was trying to come at me low, and I just kneed him like right in the stomach.
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
kneed
"Oh!"
Ryan.
And I just shot him, and I walked away after I knew it was okay. And so I shot him like he stood up, and he was like, "Ow!" And I shot him in the chest. I was just like, "Oh well." And I walked away.
Life's
and,
tough, kid.
and I walked away. I shot Feeder. I went upstairs, and then I got like a reset chain because no one was watching me, and I was just like, "Woo! This is a great start to the game. I hurt somebody, and I got 1,000
Get
points
to
off of
knee
it."
Ryan. I get a bunch of resets. Great game.
Knee Ryan, in this world, kid, you're either a sheep or a wolf.
I feel like, okay. All right, so at West Coast or at Nationals, we don't know how Scythe scored so many points, but we think that something similar might have happened, where Scythe just like tied up Ryan to a post or something, or maybe he was just like beating him in the face and just shooting him. So maybe you're onto something. This might be how to be the best player in the USA, Joe.
Just injure someone in the first 30
Physically
seconds and then
injure them.
play.
That explains
secret.
why I get
It's 2
hurt
words.
every week.
2 words. Pistol
Alright.
whip.
Next up.
I would like to talk about, instead of players that have been improving for the West Coast tournament, I want to talk about the players that are here for East Coast and what we saw in the 2 games that we played. So our team finally got to play with each other for the first time
Hey.
4 days before we leave.
Yeah.
This was great.
Great-
This was
great
truly.
planning.
This was a true eye-opening experience. We usually just had like one person gone every week. It was weird. But here we are. We have to play tonight. So I want everyone to talk about what they saw out of our team going. It's going to be Fear Turkey, Mischief, Dr. Feelgood, Sergeant Tucker, and Memosaurus, and a random 6. We are hoping for a few wonderful people, but we're going to have 6 no matter what. We'll see. Anyway, so mainly I want to start by talking about our resupply potential combos. We had, first off, we had Sergeant Tucker and Dr. Feelgood together. How'd you guys feel about that?
Besides us both being trigger happy, it was good because the only person we couldn't seem to double was you.
We were
and we
playing-
literally got Fear Turkey and Venusaurus every single time. And then you were always like, "I need a double," and either Dr. Feels Good or I would fire too quickly,
Feels Good.
and we'd just be like, "All right."
One of you would always be like behind a wall somewhere.
Yeah,
and
it
you're
was
like,
just always
all
unfortunate.
right,
and
got
so-
him.
Yeah.
I was, yeah, what ended up happening was we took opposite ends of the ramp so that I could watch the red side and he could kind of like hide in the blue side, and I had vision of pretty much the entire 2nd floor and the 3rd floor just for defensive capabilities because our heavy and our commander were downstairs doing work. So I had to set up my positioning a little bit different. And anyway, anytime one of them would come up, they'd be like, "I need doubles," I'd hear Joe say, "Go!" And he'd be expecting me to be behind a wall or not paying attention and be like a second behind him. So I'd always shoot before he would. And he'd be like, "Well, I guess he did have vision." And then he'd only get shots or vice versa.
Because then I started to preemptively fire you,
Yeah.
thinking you could always do it, and then you started missing again. I was like,
We're professionals.
what you would call
Totally.
professional resupplies.
So feedback-wise, I was on the enemy team in that point. I was playing a scout, and one of the things that I had issues with from your team, one of the things you guys did well, is it was very hard to predict where your scouts were and your resupplies were. But your commander and your heavy, I seemed to knock them a lot as a scout. So maybe if they weren't together, I saw them together a lot, which it's hard to kill, but with rapid fire, I had one hell of a time resetting them.
Which is weird. We tried to stay on opposite floors at all times.
I think there was one point where we were both on the same spot, but that was like more towards the end when we were hunting for people, not really
Yeah,
when.
I was also last alive that game, I believe, on my team. I had a really bad streak of being last alive. Not a lot of points.
You know what they say about being the last alive?
And not a lot
Doing
of
the best.
Or you're hiding the most.
Well,
Sorry,
what
you're
I
doing the
thought
worst.
about that combo was it was very good because they would both have vision in each other and they would know know when to double each other. Because when I went up to get doubles, I saw Dylan, I saw Dr. Feelgood like on the edge passing me, and I saw Sergeant Tucker on the top, and I was like, "There's no way they can double me." I just hear Joe say, "Go!" And Dylan just turns around, pew, and he hits me. I'm just like, "What?"
Yeah, we managed to do that to everybody but Luke.
I think the most impressive one was not at the beginning, but the first time that Destroyer came back for resupplies. He's so small that his shoulders stay below the wall more often than not, even if he's just barely like crouched. And so I was like, okay, I gotta wait a little bit, and I see the laser come across and tag him. I go, ah! And I had to tag him instantly because you could see him.
Yeah, as soon as he started running up the ramp, I was at an angle where I could see him coming up, and he called for it, and I tagged him like the second he rounded the corner, and I lost vision. So I was like, "Oh, better get him!"
Yeah.
And then Joe was like, "Woo!"
Yeah.
You just hear Sergeant Tucker saying "go," and you see Dylan, Dr. Feelgood, jumping walls,
I did that
flying over things.
You were staring at me. Feeder, at one point, and like Dr. Feelsgood was on the other side. I was like, I got this. And I straight hopped the wall and shot you in the chest. I was like, yeah.
Well, what about?
It means he jumped straight up. He did not jump over a wall.
What about the combo with Feel Good and Mimasaurus on resupplies? How'd you guys feel about that?
I felt
James has some
There was times-
criticism.
I felt that it was good. I mean, they were coordinated. They would tag us and tag each other. So if they got shot, so they were really good at keeping each other at a high shots and lives. And I was just like, hey, yeah, I think this game's gonna go pretty well because they keep tag. They just go tag, and they tag each other, which that's a good strategy. They just say every time you tag each other, just say yeet, and I'm just like, okay.
The
Wonder
beginning
how
of the
many.
game, right when it said let's go, like it was literally the perfect resupply. We just went down the line, right to left, just boom, 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 tagged each other, and then we're both like yeet, and we run. Like,
Great.
The only thing I haven't had a problem with saying for Judgment was that Turkey and I were just kind of destroying everyone for so long that we just basically came back for one resupply, and then we were both just back downstairs again on top of them. Because it felt like we were doing that initial fight, and then you dropped your 2 nukes, Turkey, and they just kind of were like, ah! And all went downstairs. And I was just like, cool. I got 2 resupplies, activated rapid fire, went downstairs. Mischief was walking back up. He was like, they're right there. And I was like, got it.
No.
Got it.
Sergeant
Easy
Tucker.
team kill.
Sergeant Tucker, you should always wear that cloak because it makes you 10 times more intimidating. And I feel much better about getting tagged by you when I see you walk away with the flowing cape behind you.
he's wearing like a Hogwarts cape.
I was
You were like,
just
it was
passing
scary
you.
watching like you go down a hallway because you take it up.
You came down the ramp, so I was at a slant beneath you, and you were coming down the ramp, and I was coming up the ramp. And when you turned the corner, you took up the entire corridor, and it all flowed out like Voldemort.
Yeah, no, that was.
I was like terrified.
That was the one time that Joe bumped into me. Like he was on the side and he like spread his arm out, and I thought we knew it.
And he was all nice. He
Destroyer
was
being
like,
ran
"Excuse
over."
me."
Yeah. Speaking of Destroyer being ran over, I was giving the ref a game, and I watched Dr. Feelsgood just plow him over at the Red Rock. Like he caught him in time before he hit the ground. And I was like, that's not good. And I walked forward. I was like, you guys okay? And I just see Dylan shoot him, and I'm just like, I guess they're fine. And I walked.
Yeah, like
Wow.
I like.
you.
no,
son.
he was on my team.
Oh.
No, he wasn't. You guys were on opposite sides. Because
Was
you were
he?
trying to go get him, and he was trying to get away.
Oh, and
you
we
didn't know
just,
he was in the Red
like,
Rock. You thought he had
collided.
gone further away.
Biggest
Yeah.
I
psych
so
ever.
I like caught myself. You caught me because I put my 4 fingers on the wall and I'm I got myself. You got yourself.
He's just so tiny
Jared
that when
version
I
3.
I came around the corner
Jared
and I
point 3.
almost felt like I got clotheslined by something because he only comes up to my waist. I was like, oh, ah! So I dropped to my knee and put an arm around him to keep him from hitting the ground. I was like, are you okay? Yep. Pop. And ran off.
And I was just like, what the heck? What the heck? At least give me a 10-second run away.
So I'm feeling pretty good about those. I mean, it's in our own arena. We were playing against like our team has some of the best players at our site, so we weren't able to get the full practice that we wanted. But I think that was a good tell as far as how we worked together.
To be fair, though, it was a 6 versus 7, then a 6 versus 8, and we
that
stomped it without losing a player.
The last one, yeah, when me and Dylan or Dr. Feelgood were resupplies, it was the 6 against 8.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
That was tasty.
And they had 2 ammos.
So, I will say that some of the issues that we were having was some mis-synergy, like not necessarily between specific players, but just as a team, we weren't really flowing super well. Like going up and down, we had to very rigidly communicate. Like we didn't know where each other were, even when we were talking to each other about it, I guess. And trying to get doubles is fine and all. Both of those games we ended before, like the game was completely over before like 7 minutes on both of those games. Ooh.
I really hope that picked that up.
Well,
Cut out either way.
so our first game we ended at like 5 minutes and 50 seconds. There were 3 nukes dropped that just basically wiped them all out.
I couldn't do much. You were commander. You just like rolled those nukes. I remember you were over at Blue Base. And I was scout. You were commander. You were sitting at Blue Base. And I come over. I look at you, and you just give me this like really intense look. I'm tripling. Like I'm dropping 3 right now. I was like, all right, let's go. I try rushing in, and they're like basically all dead by that time. I was like, what?
I heard
triggered me.
I heard so many game overs after that. I was
Just
like,
game
that's
over.
GG.
One thing that really triggered me one of the last games is when I think I was resubbing with Troy, and we were on first floor, and he kept telling me, go there, and every time he told me that, I would get shot by somebody who was I got shot by Joe, I got shot by you, it was really triggering because he was my ammo and shush, Fear Turkey, no, stop.
I was the last one to shoot.
But yeah,
That's
something
the
that
Fear
really
Turkey to
triggered
you.
me was I was over by the Red Rock, and he kept telling me, just go stand over there, go get your base. And like while I was standing there, John like literally just sprinted through, like shooting me at least 3 times, and I was just like, really? And then you dropped your nukes, and I ran to the base trying to get my base between the second and third one, and I died before that. And it was very triggering to me because I was listening to my ammo, and every time I listened to my ammo, I got shot, and every time I didn't listen to my ammo, I got shot, and I was basically just being.
You were getting juggled.
I was being sacrificed to the other team.
That's
That's
why I
what was
put you in your
happening.
backpack.
I was sacrificed to the bloody demons of hell. That's what happened.
Looks like you
You were,
didn't be in
you, were,
a satchel.
you were sacrificed to the Fear
Just
Turkey.
real quick on
Exactly, literally.
real quick on Fear Turkey's nukes. I was playing Scout both of those games, and
No, you were playing.
I prepared for however many nukes I prepared for. Like, oh, I'm at 4 lives. I'm gonna go downstairs and be safe because he's gonna nuke once. However many lives I prepared, he nuked 1 more than I had lives for. So like, the first time I was at like 7. I'm like, okay, if he nukes twice, I'm fine. 3 nukes. Second time I go down. I'm at like 5 lives. Okay, if he nukes once, I'm fine. 2 nukes. I'm like, this is fine. This is fine.
This is fine.
I love asking you how the game went. You were like, I don't know, I was never live long enough.
Yeah, I think between the 2 games where the tournament team was practicing, I think I was in the game for a combined less than 3 minutes.
Yikes.
Dang.
We
It was not
I watched him drop all 4 of his nukes that game. Like he rolled the 3, and then we just like were hunting, and
He dropped another, and I
well,
heard
yeah,
2
he was
more
he
game
was on
overs.
No one
he was
cares.
on red ramp going up to 2nd floor, and then he just stands there and he's like, I have a 4th. I'm dropping it right now. Just standing on the ramp, not even looking, just like drops it right there. I'm like, Okay, because I think there was like 2 people left.
They
and
were both
all
on second floor, and they
Yeah.
couldn't see me, so it was
Yeah.
like,
Right,
whatever.
I'll just drop it.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that a lot of things that we're trying to prepare for, we can't really prepare for, because we're going out there with 5 people. We're gonna be missing some slaughtermelon, but when we
Do your homework, kids.
Hey,
When
that,
we-
I find
He
that offensive.
tried.
You did try.
his teacher did lie to him about some stuff, and he was deceived.
Fuck to the
However,
school board, kids.
there's no way for us to know who is going to be with us, and so we played with James this time, and James is actually a very useful scout. He does a lot of call-outs, he gets under people's feet and causes injuries.
Which is the best kind of damage you can
He's
deal
like
to
a
a medic.
mobile
The
robot.
permanent kind, but
Cripple their legs.
so
Boss wants his money back.
something that seemed like was working really well, like each game that we played together, I was able to accumulate 2 nukes before 2.5 minutes. So in a really fast-paced arena, especially in like 10-minute games, that's so much work.
I have to say one thing though, and it was that the first game Mason was the heavy, and that's probably his worst role. And the second game we killed Seth, who was the heavy in the initial push.
I
so
killed
you
him.
were heavyless.
I double
were-
nuked and I tagged him and he died.
They were heavyless from most of those 2 games.
Mason got some good ones on me on that first game. Like he was being really smart about how he was trying to fight me, as opposed to like trying to hit me head on. He kept trying to sneak around, and he got me in the back probably like 8 times, like
think-
within the first 2 minutes, which is so much.
Speaking of getting
he
people in
did
the
score
back,
6
I
though.
would have something to say. So at the last minute, I was ammo. I had 1 life left. 1. Uno.
Yeah.
No. 1. And I see Joe duck out of a corner. I shoot him right in the back. He dies. I book it. I die.
So-
And I'm just like, that's a good trade.
That game I was playing medic, and just I think you were the enemy commander for your turkey, or it was either you or it was Phantom, and I was like, they're gonna double or they're gonna triple nuke it. So I took a knee, and I don't know what is my 6th name for us. Jalet, I guess. What we'll call him. Jalet, yeah. Just another lizard in Tokyo. Sadly, I've memorized that now.
Oh, wow.
He was my ammo, and I just started pegging him a lot, and he's like, stop! And I was like, I'm gonna die. And sure enough, I hear nuke activated, and I'm just like, here we go. And I hear nuke activated, and I'm just like, 1 more. And then I don't hear it, and I'm like, whew, I've got 1 life. And I took a knee in that corner, and I sat there for 4 minutes until I heard the 60-second mark. And Jalet goes, dude, let's go get our bases. Come on, let's go. And I was like, all right, fine. I tag him. I stand up, and literally as soon as I stand up, I got pegged in the back, and I went, wow, all that work.
Can I say something real quick about Mason?
Yeah,
All right, Mason, I think when he played heavy that game, he still is super into the scout mindset. So I think when he gets tagged, he doesn't register that click that he got tagged and still has 2 life left. So when he gets tagged, he just doesn't even notice and just keeps going. He has like a tunnel vision that he just goes. When he's scout, he gets tagged, he's down, he looks around and figures out who tagged him. Whereas heavy, it takes him a little while to figure out.
Who is this, Mason?
Mason, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He likes some scouts.
Mason played a mean commander today.
he did.
He
I think 8,000?
broke
Oh
his
my
new record
God.
of 3 nukes.
I was
8,000
right
points.
next to him. That was great. I almost resubbed him too.
Ooh, if you canceled that, he would have been so mad.
I almost did. He was just like, no, no.
Wait,
And so I
Mason
kept
was
looking
commander the game. That was the 9-on-9. That was
Yeah.
the Space Marines War.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that means so I have to own up to benefiting to like 8 of those points. Because so we started that game and like I was trading with a bunch of people on 3rd and I was like, yeah, and Zane ran away because I had beaten him. And I was just like, whatever, there's 5 teammates over there, they'll take care of him. And like it hadn't registered that Zane was a 3-shot yet because I only put 1 into him, so someone else must have done something too. And so he went down and I was just like, all right, and I started beating the rest of them. Zane walks over and I just kind of look over and Zane's alive and I just see him pouring shots into the fun box. And I'm just like, and I put 3 into his chest really fast. He goes, oh, maybe I should leave again. And he comes back over to where I was. I was like, fine, I'll go to fun box. I go to fun box. Mason is standing there alone and my team has vanished. And I'm just like, oh, well, this is fun. And I was like, I can do this. I can win. And so I stand there and he gets me. And I'm just like, whatever, you got one. And he leans over and he tags somebody and he gets me again. And I'm just like, he can't do that twice. Someone will have left by then. And I see him do it a third time. I'm just like, I don't know about this. And I look over and all of my teammates are just standing right there in like a clump. And I'm like, this is probably not a good idea. And so finally I tell them to move. They get away from it. And as I'm about to spawn, Mimosaurus walks up behind me, puts one into my back, and I'm just like, I hate everything. And I walked downstairs. I got missiled, got to 1 life. I sat in the red corner, and I was just screaming for Fear Turkey, who was the ammo. And he was like, what? And I was like, I need lives. He's like, okay, I know where they are. I'm going to tag you, and you're going to go over there. We're going to get lives. And I was like, all right. And so he's like, ready, set, go. And he tags me, and I run over, and they're not there. And as soon as I get there, Mason leans under the thing again and tags me for my last life. And I'm just like...
Feels bad.
Then
Was
Okay,
that the 9 on
thrilling
9?
tale, but
Was that the
Overnight?
9
that was
on
a 9
9?
on 9, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to get onto our theme. We're at 35 minutes. So, you guys like laser tag too much, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
I'm
what?
sorry.
Our theme for tonight is what class should I play? And what I mean by that is I think we should come up with a list of traits that makes a good scout and makes a good medic. Like if you're going to play heavy,
Makes a good heavy.
you
makes
should
a
be
good-
this kind of person. You need to play it. Like you can play these classes in many different ways. That's the whole point of Space Marines. What?
I was so excited to play Scout, and then you guys re-randomized it, and it was awful.
We were all scouts.
Yeah, the randomizer broke and it was literally just a 6-on-6 scout.
That was so
And it
funny.
was so bad.
It
I
was
walked
Scotty
in and watched
Scott-
that.
It was Scotty versus
It
Scotty.
was
So-
so bad.
Yeah, it was terrible.
You know, like we have some players that don't make good medics and don't make good commanders just because of the way they play, the play style of as you advance in games. So
Did we lose?
let's talk about
But did we win?
Precisely.
what makes a good commander.
Someone who is tunnel vision and cannot synergize with their team.
Ah.
Kidding. That was
That's probably
brutal.
the best place to put them.
That was brutal.
A commander, I would say, is someone who is like very active, who like, hey, goes downstairs, tags a couple people, maybe tags the other commander, goes back up, gets a resupply and said, alright, I'm gonna go get bases
Yeah, I
and
would
I'm gonna
agree.
wait for 2 nukes.
I would
And
agree. Someone who's a high scorer is the word I would put on it.
Yeah.
Someone who is good at
getting high scores and getting the special points, getting 3 nukes, and it's like, alright, protect me. I swear, if you resub me, I'm gonna kill it. It's just like, hey, 1, 2, 3, hey, then it's just like, hey, yes, we did it. You're a great commander. Like, it's someone who can
With
be
a lot
very
of,
active.
With a lot of influence. But let me add to that. So, I don't remember his name. The gentleman from St. George that wrote the book on
Thunder,
laser tag.
yeah.
Thunder.
Thieves.
So
Uncle Leaves.
he makes a really good point. Hey, silence. He makes a really good point, and it's that. So James said someone who's a high scorer, and yes and no, because if you're a casual player, or if you only play like standard games, a couple special games here and here, you've never really played Space Marines. Just because you're a high scorer does not mean that you will be a high scorer in Space Marines, because
It's a whole nother.
I am an extremely high scorer in standard games, whereas I kind of just yeet around the entire arena and annihilate people without really caring, just because of the level that I'm at as opposed to like walk-ins. However, when I play Space Marines, I'm very zone-oriented, very defensive, because I know that that doesn't work on people that know what they're doing, basically. So if you're a high scorer in standard games, don't be like, oh, I'm going to go in and be a commander and annihilate, because no, you won't.
Well, I think that's I kind of mean that in that you need to have a skill set to be a high scorer in
Yes.
standard games that you need it in commander games.
Right, you have to be
The-
very aggressive.
The moments that matter in a commander game, even if you're playing it very careful and timing yourself well, there are going to be moments when you have to charge in and you're going to be face to face with 2 to 5 people, and you have to shoot them all before they shoot you. And good commanders have enough experience just playing games under their belt that they've practiced moving their phase around and prioritizing targets so fast that they can get all those points quickly. Like it's in the moment thing.
Yeah, I would just like to add to that. No, thank you. Okay, so Basically, yeah, it's like that. You just need to have like lots of practices. It's like, hey, getting into a class, you just gotta sink your teeth in, and getting into your class. Not literally, don't sink your teeth into the phaser because that'll break it.
That'll break your teeth.
Thanks, James.
One of the more underrated things, in my opinion, about a good commander is when to and not to nuke, because there's a lot of people who play commander like, okay, I've got 2 nukes, I'm gonna drop it, just without analyzing the situation at all. For example, when we play the more intense games and Josiah is a commander, if he hears someone that's at 2, anywhere from 3 to 1 lives, he'll nuke because he knows it'll kill someone. A nuke doesn't have to destroy the entire team. If you take out a single person in a 6-person game, that's massive.
A trade is a trade.
A nuke for a person is a pretty damn good trade.
And one last thing before we move on to the next one. I think it requires also a lot of creativity. Because if you just, as a commander, bash your head against the wall, eventually you're going to wind up losing just because you've got nothing left to do. So you have to kind of be creative. You have to be like, you have to constantly be doubling back on yourself. You have to make them guess where you're going to enter. Especially with our maze, there's so many different entrances and ways you can poke into certain areas that you can just run around the maze consistently and keep them guessing.
Be unpredictable. If you become predictable, or if you just play very linear as a commander, if you become people who have experience aren't going to fall for it. They're going to know, they're going to analyze the situation very quickly, and they're going to know your every move. So at that point, scouts are going to be taking you down as a commander because, every time he comes back online, he comes around the corner and shoots us from this corner. If your bag of tricks is too small, you will not be a good commander.
I just want to say Zane's heart is about to explode, so please let him speak.
I'll make this as a transition. So a commander really, from what I've seen, it's very balanced. You really need to hit that 50-50. You need to be 50% defensive, 50% offensive. You need to get enough points, but you can't die all the time. And also, when we were talking earlier, juggling is key. Scouts, if you become a very balanced scout, then you can transition into commander position. If you're too offensive as a scout, then maybe a heavy is a better position for you. So doubling back on that, yeah, so a heavy is someone that would be transitioned to, if you're a scout that plays more defensive, then you'll move into that heavy role. If you have that good 50-50 balance, then you do fill the shoes of the commander. And if you are, by all means, that offensive player, then yeah, move into the scout, which I think we're going to start talking about the scout now.
Yeah, that's a good transition.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
All right, well, we got to move on.
Yeah, we got to move quicker.
Scouts.
My hand for half of the conversation.
You don't get to talk about scout. You never play scout.
Yeah.
What do you got to say, Eric?
With scout, it's, in my opinion, it's the most underrated role. People are like, I don't want to be scout. Mm-hmm. And then you got the people who play a lot of scout, and they're like, yes, I get to be a scout.
Me.
The people who play scout a lot will know. They're very good at, in my opinion, they're very good at identifying and figuring out who is who on the enemy team. This person is hiding a lot. It's a resupply. You're quite literally a scout. Your job is to figure out where they are, inform your commander if you can. So in my opinion, a scout is someone who is not afraid to get shot a couple times to get information, and is also very loud.
I think
screaming is not being loud.
I want to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
I think a good word for a scout to add on to that would be that they're analytical.
Damn it.
I think. Oh, is that your word? Yes. That specific word, analytical?
Yes.
Oh, I thought.
Let's talk about it together, Joe. Let's see if our sentences come out the same way. One, two,
no, that's not
three.
gonna happen.
So scouts. What I say in a scout is that they're the most versatile role, and they need the least attention. If you're playing scout, you get. I think this ability is more important than rapid fire. I think the ability to get resupplied twice as fast as everyone else is essential. You can get resupplied once as a scout and go do stuff for an entire minute before you need anything else. And this is all what you're going to say, Joe?
So far.
So, because you're a scout, unfortunately, you're a one-shot as opposed to a three-shot. that means you are less impactful than the 3 shots, but that also means you can do stuff that they aren't able to do in their position. They have responsibilities, whereas you can fill in the cracks and make your team strategy a little more creative.
I think when you say they're less impactful, I think I'm going to autocorrect that to mostly less impacted. They
Well, you can
be
make yourself
majorly impacted.
If you
like,
can put yourself in a position where you get 3 shots off on a 3 shot, then you have become as impactful as a 3 shot. The thing is, like, a lot of scouts will just sort of play it like an extra commander or like a mini heavy, but scouts should be a whole class of their own. They should be where the commander and heavy are not, causing mayhem for the enemy team.
I
that's what
will
I've been trying to do.
say that, in my honest to God opinion, the scout is the most impactful role. Having good scouts and not having good scouts will cost you the game.
This is why we don't talk about Syracuse.
We learned that the hard way tonight when our scouts continued to get us fish in a barrel because they would not position themselves literally at all. The most important trait to have as a scout, in my opinion, is your positioning, knowing where to be, where to crossfire, where to help your commander, where to defend your resupplies, like Luke was saying. It's the most versatile, so you have to be the most versatile in order to play the class to its highest potential.
I'd like to add on to
So
that.
we should transfer soon. That way we don't make Luke have an hour of editing.
Yeah.
That's what he usually has.
A scout,
I'll tell you if I
I would say a scout doesn't have to be fast, but he has to be efficient, is what I would say. Like, efficient and fast, I would probably say. Like, efficient and fast. What I mean by fast is, like, if you're being very efficient, you can just be from getting over there to getting over there. Because,
You can be point A to point B very quickly.
yeah, that's basically a description. Like me as a scout, I'll probably say I'm decently fast, but
That's
When
one
you
thing that
watch-
I'm trying to work on as a scout.
When you watch gameplay of us, you will notice that 99% of the time we are sprinting, and the 1% of the time that we're not sprinting is we're getting resupplied.
Controlled
Because-
sprinting.
Thank you, Peter.
The reason for that is because if you are anything, this goes for any class, is that if you're just kind of meandering around, you don't know what you're doing, people call for something and you just kind of saunter your way over to the situation will have changed by then. They might no longer need you, they might need you somewhere else, they might be dead and you have just cost us the game. You have to be quickly. You have to be.
Please.
You have to be quickly. You have to
There's
be quick.
the game that Josiah mentioned earlier, when I was scout and he was reffing, and he saw me like just book it up third floor in like no time. That game I was specifically trying to be fast but sneaky. So I was trying to combine the fastness of Josiah with the sneakiness of Troy.
Yeah.
Like,
Loki.
and that's exactly what I did because Morgan, he was playing commander that game. He had already gotten 2 shots into him, and he came up out of the fun box, and I was kind of hiding behind the half wall. He had no idea I was there. I just popped out, and I used my last shot on him, got him down. I ran down all the way down to the bottom of red ramp. That's where, and Dylan was sitting there watching me. I was just like hiding the rest of the game, like, because there was like 20 seconds left or something like that.
Oh, was
But
that the game that I was reffing?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, you were at the bottom of the ramp, and I was just kind of hiding, but I was being stealthy and like super fast at the same time. It's one thing I want to try and work on.
All right, let's move on to heavy weapons.
So I'm gonna be honest here. I think AJ's about to have an aneurysm if she doesn't get to say something.
What do you want to say, AJ?
Never mind. Nobody cares.
Figuratively, nobody cares what you have to say. So
I know that's why I'm not
I
talking.
haven't noticed. She should wave her arms or something.
I was. I don't.
I would
I'm
Flail.
just short, okay?
As much as possible.
AJ, I feel you.
Okay,
Can't
so
take it too long. Let's move on to heavy, the heavy weapons.
please end me. Okay, so something that I mentioned last week was for a new beginner, you have to make sure that you are, when you're out in the field, you have enough lives to survive until you get back to your resupplies. And it's especially for scout because, yes, like Eric said, you have to be able to be comfortable with losing lives to go get information. But you also need to be in the place where you're not just like, oh, I have 2 lives. I'm just, gonna get a sneak peek of where they're hiding their resupplies and then go back to my resupplies.
And then surprise, you get hit by 4 people and lose
Exactly.
4 lives out of nowhere.
I said 2. That what?
That happened to me today, though.
He got shot by 5 people at once at like 3 lives.
I'm literally
and
gonna
died.
die. Anywho, but yeah,
funny.
just making sure you know where your
Firing
lives and your
squad.
shots are at, because you still need to be alive in order to get that information back to your team and back to your commander. So yeah, just making sure you know where you're at and you know where your team's at, so that when you put yourself in the position to go get information, you can then be comfortable with, okay, my resupplies are up in the blue cubby on 3rd floor, so I'll be fine if I have 5 lives and I go to see where their resupplies are, and then I'm close enough to where I can live. So,
All right, we gotta move on to heavy weapons.
Hold on.
We already
Say
did.
something.
We're already
Hey,
on it.
hold on just one moment to add on to what Eric was saying, because it was a beautiful highlight, and I was there for it, and therefore I mean part of it. He was a scout. I believe I heard him say that he had 4 lives. He backs up to a wall to just kind of hide for a second, and I think all 5 of us on the 3rd floor just saw him. He comes up, and it was just like Colonel Stauffenberg. Just all of 5 of us just shot him, killed him. It was so tragic. No.
How do you get negative
How's a heavy weapon?
I'm still learning, and I don't think that I should talk about the role.
You are like the second best at our site. Go.
What? I think that if you're going to play heavy weapons, you just need to be really organized with what you're doing and have a really clear head of what your goal is. And if your goal is to protect your resupplies, then you're usually going to be doing it right. But if your goal is to essentially carry your team, you're going to be having a lot of issues. Keeping yourself in a position where you can see incoming attackers and see your resupplies is always where you usually want to stick yourself, but that's just from my observation.
If possible, in my opinion, a heavy should be the one who has the best knowledge of the arena, where if one of his teammates calls that someone is coming from X direction, they know where that is without having to think about it too much. And being able to put themselves, okay, my resupplies are hiding here. If I stand in this different spot, I can see all the directions that people will come from. It's spatial awareness, in my opinion. It's much more than raw trading power. It's, as a heavy, especially with your slow rate of fire, you have to have the almost element of surprise, even though they know where you're going to be. Just being able to get the quick trades off.
Yeah, having the good dueling. The word I would use also is vigilant. Is being someone who not only knows the arena, but is constantly checking to make sure they know where everything is. They're demanding call-outs from their team. They're demanding they spread out and making sure they control different parts so they can tell when the commander's going to come in.
And I just remembered something else as well. As heavy, knowing when and when not to be resupplied is massive, especially when you're getting pushed in on. You have to know, okay, I just killed their commander. I've got someone else here who can handle the scouts. I'm going to get a resupply real quick, so I'm back up in time for when the commander comes in again. Because being resupplied at the wrong time can be devastating for your team.
Yeah, someone who's careful, I think, is the best word for it.
I feel like one word that really describes a heavy is mom, because like
Mama
for real,
bear.
Exactly, yeah, because they're the 3-shot, so and they're the one who basically, watch over their resupplies, who therefore can continue to live and resupply their team. So,
I see it.
yeah, just making sure that they don't leave their resupplies behind, but also can go a little bit offensive when their resupplies are in a safe enough place to go and push a little bit if they have to. But yeah, just making sure they know when to get resupplied, like they said, and just making sure that they stay by their resubs, because yes, the ammo is the one who's supposed to be more offensive than the medic, but at the same time, they need to make sure that's at least one 3-shot is watching over there.
Can I add one more thing to heavy?
Yeah.
All right. There's one thing that I've noticed. I've played heavy a few times, not that much, but from what I've seen and what like I've gotten destroyed by is heavies need to create choke points. Like they usually stay next to this resubs, which to protect them and stuff. But if necessary, when they need to move, they create that choke point. So even if they go down and their commander's rushing and the enemy commander's rushing in, he's still standing there holding his ground to be able to get the tag on the commander before.
So what would you call that in the first thing? Because we're talking more about the people that should play this, not like what a heavy should do on field.
Yeah,
I can answer that.
Strategical.
As someone who is kind of Mischief's Padawan as far as the whole heavy goes, I'm trying to be good at heavy, and I consider Luke probably our best heavy. What I've noticed makes me really strong as heavy is I'm a very zone type player, and what that means is I find a zone and I lock it down, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to stand in that zone. So positioning to watch over your zone as well as gaining vision is extremely important. You don't want to be right on top of your resupplies. You want to be able to see them, but you also want to be far enough away so that if you get shot, it doesn't mean that they're a free game. Or if they get shot, it means that you can retaliate and push the threat away.
This is my castle. No one enters my castle.
that is exactly what Feeder does. Whenever he is any 3 shot, he just stands there and says, "Go!" Like that is all he's.
I dare you.
Like that is it.
You are the
All
rook.
right. We're gonna group together the resupplies, and we could differentiate like what kind of person should be an ammo versus a medic. But they tend to come as couples. You have people that work well together because they mesh well.
Stop looking at me.
Medics are good.
How do you mesh well with someone, Joe? What do you think? You should start us off with resupplies.
The resupplies should stay together and not run and hide.
You're a dick, aren't you?
Cuss.
Do you have
Profanity.
Is that a profanity though?
Just go.
Okay. But no, like resups, like I know that I'm kind of hypocritical when I say this, but having a level head for most situations and being able to like, especially if you're the ammo, being able to go, okay, they're pushing in, I'm gonna tag my medic and then I'm gonna start fighting. That way, in case they get in, they can't reset my medic and we can run away. You know?
Personality traits.
Yeah. But I'm getting there. I'm sorry.
I'm
You've been
impatient.
yelling at me
We're
all
almost
night.
at an hour.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I tried to help you.
Y'all keep saying stories.
Okay.
But basically, what they need to be is they need to be quick thinking almost, because they need to know almost, the ammo needs to almost know before the trade even happens, will we win or will we lose? And then the medic needs to just be able to trust the ammo to make the correct call, because of the fact that if your ammo makes the wrong call, it can cost your medic quite a few lives. But if your ammo makes the right call, you can wind up basically almost flipping a game from losing to winning.
Okay.
So almost, I'd say if anything, it's a medic has to be very trusting and very like believing, but able to think for themselves. But the ammo needs to be able to be assertive almost.
So.
With that, I'm gonna take Destroyer home.
So the
All right.
coming off
Well,
of what-
goodbye, Sergeant Tucker and Destroyer. We love you.
So coming off of what Sergeant Tucker said about the resupplies, I believe that in the medic's shoes, the medic really needs to just observe what the ammo is doing. Where is the ammo looking? Where is the ammo shooting? When the ammo goes down, where did it come from? The medic's responsibility is to get as much information as possible without exposing themselves, because medics do not attack. That fits in the archetype of someone who isn't necessarily curious about what's going on in the battlefield and more is trying to pick up as many slight cues as possible. Sound is really important for a medic. They need to listen to not only what their ammo is saying by means of following instructions, because the medic is not in the pants in this relationship.
Right.
Battle medic.
We don't.
Which is a
not
mistake.
That's not a good thing.
We don't
not.
implore that.
So
Watch the video. It's not recommended.
either way, so the medic really just needs to take all the subtle cues it can. The ammo needs to give as many cues as it can to the medic, without revealing the medic's location. That's something as an ammo person needs to not just look at their medic the whole time, because then everybody knows where the medic is. And the person that would want to play an ammo, which is what I generally do, Mr. Jenkenstein and shiz,
Right.
Anyway, either way, as an ammo, my job is to kind of not only protect the medic, but also keep track of everything. I'm supposed to keep track of where people are. It's not the medic's duty. I'm supposed to decide, make the call, when to run. Not the medic's duty. I also need to keep track of my lives and the medic's lives, which is something that you have to more or less keep aware of. However, I believe that it's best when the medic calls the shots when you're doing doubles. So it's kind of that's where that compromise comes in the relationship. The medic gets to call out those doubles times.
The medic definitely needs to be someone who is observant but careful.
I would also add in responsible. It's kind of odd because your team is responsible for protecting your medic, right? Like that's the whole thing, the whole point of the game. You're protecting the medic. But as a medic, you need to know when your team is failing at that and when you need to get yourself out of that situation.
My aneurysm is back.
You can't always have your way as the medic.
You can't always rely on your team to protect you.
What do you want to say, AJ?
Okay, so I've been playing medic for a couple months. For a couple months shy of 2 years, and so I've learned quite a lot about the medic position and making sure when to stay back and when to move. And I would say that one of the main thing is you need to make sure that you can double with your ammo, because if you're not doubling, you lose a crap ton of time, and you quite possibly might lose a couple players in the process because you have multiple people down waiting for shots or lives because you don't know how to double. So you need that, that's one of the most basic things, and I went from doing scout for maybe even a couple weeks to doing medic immediately, and so that's why I was able to learn so much. But another thing about especially playing medic is making sure to know exactly where you are in terms of where your team is, because being left tonight in the fun box between Josiah and the rest of his team was not fun at all.
That's an example of being responsible. You should have known your team was going to fail against a rampaging Josiah.
Well, yeah.
Sacrifice
save
At
yourself.
first, I didn't even know that he was on the ramp
There
because
is
I
no
think
one
he was.
safe.
I think he had maybe transitioned from second to that side of red ramp, and so at that point, I actually didn't know until I peeked out to shoot him. But
When your medic gets missiled, you're SOL.
Hashtag
Gone.
get gobbled.
He's simply trying to instill as much fear as he can, as he's
Nowhere
basting a
safe.
turkey.
Referring to the responsibility aspect, after hearing what my comrades here have said, I would go, I guess, further into this as in saying that with the medic situation, yeah, whilst the medic has to keep track of the whole team, the ammo has to keep track of the medic. That's kind of where it goes for. But the ammo also makes the calls, and the medic needs to follow the ammo.
not gonna follow
I
you
agree.
through hell. No.
It's kind of like a marriage in the
I don't know,
I'm going to die
missile-
for you at the beginning of the game.
Missiles are hell for medics, yeah.
Yeah. one thing I think Feeder made a great point about about heavy earlier, how they need to know the arena. I think it's very similar for the resupplies. When they hear those callouts, I think that they should know where to position themselves, to where they are outside the threat area.
Especially if you get pushed out of your advantage.
Exactly,
You
yeah.
have to know where is safe and where is not.
Yeah. So I think the heavy and the resupplies synchronize with that. I think they need to synchronize with that. Not they do. They need to.
They also have to have good trading potential
Yeah.
together, because
That is exactly
Joe
what me
Joe
you
and
did.
I are very good individual fighters, but as resupplies, we just cannot defend ourselves for some
That-
reason. However,
Me and you.
John and I will 1v5 their team.
We did with
we'll 2v5 their team and be fine.
We did with
should
Troy
be
last
human
week.
traffic.
Troy was trying to push up with the heavy.
Super good. Yeah, Troy was their commander last week.
Commander.
He could not touch us because I
Yeah.
would call him out. John and I would pop up at the same time. 1, 2, 3, down.
All right, I'm going to cap this off with one final thing, more on the personality line. I think if you're a support player, someone who plays sport in video games specifically, or someone who enjoys playing a role where you're not the star of the team, you make a good resupply. Because some players feel like if they're not scoring a ton of points, they're not impacting the game very much. And if you're someone who's mature enough to understand that just because you're helping those people get that score doesn't make you any less effective. In fact, it makes you more effective. So I think...
Yeah, you're also commander.
We know you love the medics, Fear Turkey.
Let me be
Hold
free
on.
of this commander life.
Broke my train of thought.
The
But like, no, I know it.
The player from St.
Support player.
George made this point as well, is that the points that you score don't necessarily reflect your game's influence. If you can take control of scenarios and you can help your team to gain better advantages, your influence will be thousands of points higher than just scoring a couple extra points.
When the
So-
team feels good about their resubs, you've done your job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to cap it off, I think just people who are more passive and defensive and are okay not being the star player. All right, we're going to end our podcast. Thank you for listening in. You all have a good rest of your day.